Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, this presentation we're being joined. So my name's Richard Pollard. I'm the National Schools Programme Manager for the Tree Council. And this is one of a suite of 3 presentations that we've been running to support schools that have registered for Young Tree Champions Programme, to give you some inspiration really with your application, your project application forms that I know a lot of you are writing at the moment, and to introduce you to our partners. The other day, of course, there was Learning Through Landscapes, Mary Jackson, and today we're joined by Hilary Lyons, who's a fantastic, super experienced trainer, and Alana Beacon is also joining us as well, Programme Director from Speakers Trust. So we're in really good hands, and these guys are going to talk you through some of the key aspects of the latter half of the programme, the Speaking Up for Trees elements of the programme. So once your schools have received your trees and your tech packs and all the goodies that come with that, if you tick that box, which is Speaking Up for Trees workshops by Speakers Trust, there's 2 sessions for teacher training sessions coming on the 17th and 18th of March, and we're going to talk in more detail about that in this session. And then Hilary and Alana will be in touch with you to organise your specific pupil workshop sessions that would be running in April, May and early June, directly with your Young Tree Champions in school, whether that's a class or whether that's a lunchtime club, however you've decided to set up your Young Tree Champion club. So yeah, it's hopefully it's going to be really useful for you. It's definitely really useful for us. There's the Q&A, as I mentioned at the start. Please type in there any questions that you have throughout the session. Use the chat space to promote anything that you're currently doing. We're really keen to run this program together. You know, we're all learning together. It's a fresh and brand new national initiative, so it's really good to ensure that teachers get a lot of ownership, get on board, feel like this is something that they're creating together with us, and we're all learning together. So please ensure that you try to put in as much as you can. That would be fantastic. Okay, so the program, the slides will go through a sort of overview to start with, which I'm just going to cover things like the impact that the program's having on the ground, and then we're going to look at the specifics around Speakers Trust workshops, and then we're going to finish off with looking at the assessment that the program will have and how to become a beacon school at the end of the year. Let's just hope that the tech works. My first move, there we go. It's worked. So really, it's a big thank you to M&G. They're our main partner, of course, the Tree Champion program. They're super supportive, global investment company, and so far really impressed with the program. So that's really good news, and so keen. The number one priority is, of course, to tackle the climate and ecological crisis through initiatives like this, working with the Tree Council, but also so keen for schools to see the benefits of this program and growing your networks locally on the ground to help upskill and develop the personal development sort of skills and development of your children as well. So it's really good to have them behind this whole program. There's lots of partners, and those that have joined us before, Sarah, David, you may well have familiar with those 2 or 3 partners there. I just flipped back to that one. Speakers Trust today, Eco Schools are helping us through the promotion throughout the program. University of Derby as well on board. So we have timing going on here. So the program is the call to action is to be a force for nature, of course, and our goal is to work together to connect, learn and share power of trees, and to tackle the big climate ecological crisis that's upon us. There are challenges that we are all facing, and one of those challenges, of course, is the It's on a timer, so I'm just going to have to come out a second and change the timing on this. I don't know why that's happening. Let's see if that works. Apologies for that. So, some reason, don't know why that is. Dom, do you know why that might be? Shouldn't really be on a timer. Let's see if that works. That's okay. Yeah, apologies for that. I don't know why it was on a timer. So there are lots of challenges that, of course, everyone is facing right now, and it's so challenging in schools, and I really feel for all teachers in schools. I used to teach geography, and that was tough. I can't imagine how tough it is right now for teachers, and multitasking, teaching online as well as teaching in the classroom all simultaneously is incredible to watch and incredible to continue to do for such a long period of time. This inevitably, no matter how hard teachers are working and heads are working, there is a growing divide, and this attainment is growing every day as those children that don't have the tech, the equipment to even get online, let alone that involved in the lessons, to those that are excelling in this environment. So there is a learning gap and a disadvantage that's happening all the time. There's a big mental health impact as well that's occurring because of the crisis, and eco anxiety is another factor, the sort of climate anxiety that children are having, a sort of silent crisis, if you like. But however, there are good points to be had, and that is that children, young people really do think they can make a difference, and they really believe in that, and that we really need to capture that essence, that energy through programs like this. Challenges, and I've just mentioned some of those, that anxiety that children are having, the disconnection through the pandemic with their teachers, with schools, with their friends, and also, of course, with nature is a big challenge for all of us. And helping inspire teachers and helping the children reach their attainment levels, reignite their enthusiasm for learning is going to be a challenge in the coming months. There's a lot of passive learning going on Zoom and Teams at the moment, so this program's really supportive of that, to try and ignite that passion for learning again, and giving, of course, with Speakers Trust, a platform and a voice to create a healthier future. Lots of specific objectives that sit within the Connect, Learn and Share, the cycle of the program, to grow across deeper connections, and those connections will help with reducing that sort of anxiety, that stress that children are having right now, in using that outdoor calming in space environment to be able to reflect on that, and of course the growing those skills, being inspired. Really, it's our theory of change, if you like, which we're working on Derby with, is that the deeper those connections are, the deeper the sense of purpose that children have, that they feel that they actually can do something to tackle the climate crisis, from as simply as collecting some seeds to planting a tree, but more so from learning and getting themselves into the industry of the environment, is so crucial to our future. And here's some of the likely areas of skills development that we're really focusing on as part of the that we're working on with Derby. We're looking at those connections, of course, those relationships, empathy coming through strongly. We're looking to see curiosity coming through, and that knowledge gain that children will have through this program, their understanding of the value of trees and the role of trees in tackling the crisis. There's going to be lots of opportunity for problem solving, practical tasks, pragmatic approaches that children, young tree champions, are going to have to take as part of their project progression. And that leadership skills that comes through all that when they're finding their voice and they're listening to others, listening to their classmates, understanding what matters most and communicating in a very impactful way. And we consolidated that down into these 3 guiding principles, which really are just a guide to help steer schools on their journey this coming year. So I'm going to just hand over now to Hilary, who's going to explain much more about the Speakers Trust role in the programme and how you can get involved.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you all for being here. Too many young people really do lack the confidence, the skills, and also the opportunity to share their ideas. More than 40% of the young people that we meet say they really don't have the confidence to even speak up in front of a group of their own peers. So our mission at Speakers Trust is really to change all of that. And we do that by creating pathways for young people, be it at primary or secondary or even further education levels. And we do it through a combination of different things, workshops. We also do teacher training and public speaking competitions that are very popular. And we also provide resources that are professional. So the resources have been put together by expert public speakers and trainers. And we work with over 20,000 students a year, and we meet these young people all over the country. So we're able to up the skills across the UK. We transform young people's voices so that they can be seen and heard. They develop confidence, self-belief, and in allowing their voices to be heard, they can express themselves. So I think we all know here that communication is vital for young people. It's vital for all of us, but particularly for young people to achieve their potential, not just at school, but later when they're looking for work and they're out into the bigger, wider world. And it's also, as Richard was saying, there is a potential for social change, and the platforms that are available, obviously virtually, and being able to reach larger groups of people. So we design the workshops that we do to help them build their confidence, but also so that they can have the opportunity to speak at school. If that's been in person, it's obviously been in assemblies and speaking competitions where they can share their perspectives and their ideas. So it's at school, but then it can be with a wider audience outside of school too. So the self-confidence to speak up and share perspectives has positive mental health aspects as well for young people. It gives them a self-esteem level boost. It also helps them to have a certain identity. Their own self-identity is developed through their shared experience. Sharing their ideas with peers also enables them to be open to other people's opinions, other people's beliefs, their faiths, their values. And I think it can be fun. It doesn't have to be a serious day when we go into schools and we have this experience with them. They're seeing a professional come in, but they're also having fun exploring their potential of their own voice. And so the Tree Champions project is really exciting for us because Oracy will be a key way that young people can share their ideas, also their experiences and their passions for nature and for ecology and for everything that's happening in the wider world around them. It also enables us to meet the core objectives, obviously, of this programme. So if we just, can we just move on to the next slide? Thanks. So the actual programme itself is built around some functional skills, as you can see here. It starts with increasing self-confidence. Through games, we actually use interactivity so that the young people, be it a primary level or secondary level, can step into their own voice and feel supported, not just by the trainer, but also by the people who are with them, their classmates as well. So Each workshop is led by a Speakers Trust trainer, and they offer structured interactive activities so that individuals can speak up together in pairs and in small groups, and also they can learn to listen to each other, to other people's opinions, and hear what other people have to say. So it builds the skills not just of speaking and listening, but also leadership, helps to overcome nerves. It also enables them to structure content, how to put their opinions across in a way that lands and resonates with other people. So the activities can be tailored for your school. If you have the school project that you're working on in a particular way as a teacher, you can run the activities with your own students to start them off in their speaking up for trees and their own journey. So the exciting part is we can be flexible in the way that we come in, and also we can differentiate the activities so that they're relevant for all sorts of groups, all sorts of ages, no matter what their abilities. Can we just move on to the next slide? I'm speaking about these young people, but I want to show you an example of Kitty, who was a young speaker, who came up with, after a one-day program, this speech. This is actually her performing at her school in a regional final of a speaking competition. And it'll just give you a taste of the sorts of things that young people come up with in a very short time through their own creativity, and also the skills that we share with them.
I'll put it onto
Thanks.
the main screen.
I think you need to share sound, Richard. Can't hear her.
Run away or something, does this not justify my bee sting? Now, I understand if the tiny, black and yellow, fluffy creatures freak you out and everything, but they're actually pretty amazing. First of all, they probably work harder than most humans. I'm not saying this applies to everyone, because some humans work really hard, but humans damage the world every single day without even thinking about it. Well, like by driving their cars everywhere and taking long showers, while bees are out here supporting nearly a third of crop growth. Second of all, if any of you have ever looked at a bee up close before, you might not have done because you have better things to do with your time, but bees have really tiny wings, which until a few years ago, scientists couldn't understand how they lifted up their little fat bodies off the ground with these tiny wings. It wasn't until about 2006 that scientists finally understood how these bees could fly. But before then, bees didn't care how confused these humans were, and they flew off anyway. And last of all, bees are probably better role models than most celebrities. Celebrities take about 30 selfies a day and post them all over social media, while bees take 30 trips to and from their hive a day to collect nectar, also pollinating a lot of the plants that we live on. Now, I understand that without our primary pollinators, we as humans could still survive, but our diets would be so dull, not very nutritious, and really quite expensive. So, for those of you who think you wouldn't be affected by the lack of vegetables if bees weren't around because you like a McDonald's burger like me, you'd be missing out too, because the next time you go to McDonald's, they'd be serving you a bun with a really insipid looking piece of beef inside, because there'd be no lettuce, no tomato, no cheese, no gross gherkin, no sesame seeds on top, and no chips on the side. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, maybe we should value the smaller things in life, because bees are so much more significant than we think. So please stop squishing them.
Thank you. So what you're seeing there is the process that happens from beginning to end, really. So we always start off with being able to take students through the activities first, so they build their confidence. We use impromptu, we use activities that are fun, and so they then feel comfortable. But what's interesting is the topics around the ecological crisis that people are experiencing at the moment, or their love of nature, will come from them, purely from their own choice about what they want to speak about. So we never give them the topics. Those topics come from them having a passion, and they want to definitely speak up about things that matter to them. And that's what makes it so exciting to be involved in the project. So where would you be in all of this? Well, the teacher training is taking place on the 17th and 18th of March. And obviously we are very excited by the project. And so we're going to support teachers all the way in the training. We often find that teachers learn as much about oracy skills as their students do by the end of this, but we'll be there doing an interactive session with you remotely, and everything that you need to support your students will be in that training. Just for 2 hours, we can cover everything that's needed for the students and give you the opportunity to ask questions. And we will also be able to support you with what you need for your particular projects. So as I say, the school day begins, and it's your support that matters. As far as we're concerned, we bring the skills on board, we interact with the students, but you know the students. And yet what I think you might find from having the training is you'll also have these skills to use when we're not in the training space, because they're life skills and they enable the students to move forward at quite a pace. So if there are any questions about that, please ask us today. But we do hope that you'll apply for the project, because, you know, speaking up for trees is important, but also changing views. Young people own that space now, and they have the power to make change. So we provide a fantastic package with the workshop, and even if you don't take part in it, we have some activities. I'm going to share a couple of them now with you, but also those activities will be available for you to use in your classroom even if you don't take part, and they'll be on the project page of the website. So the relationship with developing this ability for students to speak out is something I'm incredibly passionate about, but also if we can share that passion for change, then it's going to have a huge effect in the future. So can I move on to the next slide, Richard? This is the dates of when the actual training workshops for the students are taking place. As I say, it's looking at overcoming nerves, structured interactive exercises. We're going to give them top tips for speaking and listening and planning the content of a speech. So they'll be fully prepared and they can deliver the speech at the end of it. We can either do it as a live workshop in person for the whole day at the school if that's going to be possible, but we have adapted everything at the moment for remote training, where we can zoom into schools and do the training there, or if we're all still at home, we're actually working with students at home, running our workshops successfully at the moment. So that would be the same for this workshop. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of the sorts of things that we actually do. And if you want, you can actually do this yourself too. So we have a confidence building that begins based around a triangle of communication. It has 3 parts to it. One is content, the other is delivery, and the other part is structure. And what this is looking at is how we build confidence for the young people to deliver. So we call it the 5 S's of speaking. And even when I'm working online, I'll ask everybody to stand up and walk towards their computer. But if I'm in an open space, that stride is about walking with purpose to your stage, to the place where you're going to deliver. This is where most nerves take part for any young person or even older person. So it's about learning to breathe, control the walk, stand in the space and really own it. So I ask students to place their feet on the ground like trees and root themselves to that space for stillness, to send roots down into the ground, and then to open themselves like branches so that they can spread their message out to their audience. A smile helps to engage the audience, also engage for them to share their own passion and not look nervous, even if they might be feeling the butterflies inside. And then the opportunity to speak, to introduce themselves, to say a couple of things about themselves, or in the case of the end of the workshop, to use these skills to actually deliver a 2 to 3 minute speech and then stay so that they can get a massive round of applause from their peers, from their teachers, from everybody in the space. Works both ways. If you're virtually, we do it sitting as well as standing, but it gives that immense confidence of being able to prepare, to stand and to deliver. So as you can see, these students are enjoying themselves because they're doing it as a group, but we found it works equally well when they're at home, doing it in their own bedrooms and own spaces. So the 5 S's, very useful in your own classrooms. If you're back in classroom and you're working with your students to get them to come up to the front, to share the speaking out loud. It's said that very few words are actually spoken out loud by students in classrooms. So even if you're working on Zoom or you're working in the virtual environment, get your students to stand up. Get them to use the energy of their bodies physically, because it will help them to have a better experience. Literally by standing, they're going to have more energy to speak, but also they're going to be doing something different to just sitting in front of slides and the screen. So more physicality we can get involved, the better. And obviously the link to nature is fantastic because we've got that rooted tree, we can go out and we can hug trees, we can lead this on to something outside of the classroom too. So that's one little activity you might want to try. You might also want to try it as a teacher yourself whenever you're in front of those groups. If you get back to assemblies, you've got to do your own thing. Very worthwhile exercise. Next slide, please. So activities make up part of the day and they break up the structure of the day to make it fun. So the learning is a fun process. Again, 5-second rule, great icebreaker or energizer. If you're working online, it works as well virtually as it does in the space. So each student could be very nervous about speaking out. The more games we play, the less likely that is to affect them in the way that they're being put on the spot to speak. So this game is about having a 5-second rule. You can have a timer on your screen if you're doing it this way. If you're doing it physically, it's great to use hands, particularly with primary age groups, younger members who are there in your classroom, to actually learn, we're going to learn other things other than oracy. We're going to learn to count. We're going to use our physicality again. But each student, 5 seconds, you can do this yourselves. Name 5 things or 3 things or however many you want. Usually I start with 3 because that's the easy way of being able to fit 3 things into 5 seconds. It could be a theme such as trees, it could be wildlife, it could be anything you choose that is related to what you're focusing on in the classroom. Objects, items, people, so obviously, trees that grow fruit, but they're put under pressure with the timer. So being able to count down, but they love it. They love this exercise and it's worked, as I say, in class, and I brought it out in front of the screen. It works even better, to be honest. So you can choose the topics. And then from the oracy perspective, get your students to choose the topics because they've got a lot more creative ideas, and also it will feed in with where their passions lie. So whatever you choose to do with them, the timer is also a great framework for when young people are speaking, because it gives them a framework for the amount of time that they can speak for. So you can choose what time they speak for, but also that will help you with your own lesson plans and being able to keep to time in your own lessons and everything that you're doing. So it's a fantastic skill all round. So that's it, just a couple of activities, and they'll both be on the project page of the website. So as a teacher, just to reinforce the fact that you are participating in these training workshops, it's going to give you skills of oracy as much as your students. And also you're developing a pastoral role probably with your students. You're also acting as a key support during that workshop with us, so you can get involved in the workshop yourself. You can also demonstrate the ability, obviously, that you're working with professional organisations outside of your school. So these are all beneficial for you and also for your students. As I say, for the students themselves, they are building their public speaking skills, they're enabling other students to work with them, and also they're speaking out on behalf of nature and the environment. And so they will become a force for nature by sharing their ideas and their opinions and being open to others. But it will be in a structure that lands with an audience, that can be recorded, that can be sent out. It could even be, you know, incorporated in your own school website, I'm sure. So it's working with classmates. It's not just individual speaking. It's actually working in small groups as well, and teams. So we then show, as I say, all the work that we do. We like to, when it's finished, when that final speech has been made, a journey of progression as that force of nature is there, it's fully embodied, and we record it and we put it out in its most polished form. And so we don't actually record the young people when we're in class with them, but then afterwards, when they feel they've had time to practice and they feel they're ready to do it. And notice they're not doing it with a script. We're never teaching young people to speak from a script. They're always speaking from the heart about what they're passionate about. And the structure is what gives them the foundation for the confidence to speak out. And so they have a deeper understanding of their own values and their own opinions, but also their classmates' opinions too. So that's the exciting process. I hope you're excited by it as well. By sharing your skills, it's all a part of what the young people are learning too. It builds your own skills as well. But I wanted to leave the last voice to somebody who, we saw Kitty earlier on. She was in what's called a regional final, which is after the school phase, she would go into that as part of a competition. And in that competition, certain speakers are selected to speak out, and they go on to what's called a grand final in one of our speaking competitions. And this is Josh, and he has chosen to speak about the environment. So I'm going to leave the last word with him. He's one of our secondary school year 10s, and I'll leave him to have the last voice.
We condense
and I hope you enjoy it.
the lifespan of the Earth into just 24 hours. We've only been here for 3 seconds. 3 seconds. That's a quote by my favorite spokesperson, Prince EA. And it got me thinking, look at what we're doing in these 3 seconds. Cutting down trees, oils in seas, killing the bees. But in addition to that, there's melting ice caps, pollution, and warming. Yet, we just ignore the fact that we are killing our planet day by day, minute by minute, and second by second. And my mate came up to me the other day, and he said, "Oi, Josh, I know you're so big on this environment thing, but what are you going to do about it? You're only 15. And then I thought, why should my age limit the amount of power I have to change a subject I care about? Why should my fellow contestants' age limit the amount of power they have to change a subject they care about? We all in this room right now have power. And today, I'm asking you to direct it to this earth, because the things that we are doing to it is horrific. We are committing crimes against humanity to it every day without even noticing. So I want you to remember this. The next time you pick up a plastic straw, do you want to contribute to the 8.5 million straws thrown away in the UK a year, or do you want to contribute to making this place better again? Because even McDonald's are starting to change. They are going to use paper straws instead of plastic ones. I mean, they must have watched my first speech, but whatever. Mark Ruffalo. Does anybody know who that is? Can I get some hands? If you don't, he's a big actor in the Marvel Universe, and he gets a lot of money. And you probably think he uses that money on cars, houses, maybe a little cheeky numbers on the side, if you know what I'm saying. But in actual fact, he uses that money to protect this earth. He uses that money to prevent places like the Amazon rainforest going to the Amazon desert. He uses that money to prevent our grandchildren looking up at us and saying, what is a lion? Because if you didn't know, in the next 20 years, 50% of lions are gone, which means most of the lions in the world will be the English national team. Swiftly moving on. For that and many other reasons, I believe that the human race must be put in check. Because even I've started changing. I've started walking home instead of polluting the earth. I've started recycling instead of putting everything in one bin and letting it waste away in a dump. But it can't only be me that does this. We need to come together as a world. We need to create and innovate new ways to keep this place safe, because if we don't, we will never reach the 4th second.
That's brilliant. I never get tired of watching Josh. He's fantastic, so inspiring, and it's fantastic to know that he's enabled us to use this, showcase his speech, and Kitty as well, on our website. So there are unofficial first ambassadors to the program. Thanks, Hilary. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Really great insight into the sessions that you'll be running this coming spring and summer. I'm really excited to hear all the fantastic developments that all the schools are going to receive. It's going to be really inspiring for them. I can't wait to be involved as well. And just so hopefully that flavour, and here he's been talking about in terms of the techniques of oracy and those simple steps that you can do, are filtering back into your project application. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes out now just to sort of mention a few points in the application process that should hopefully help you produce a fantastic application and inspire you to continue and deliver a really good project. So the two main tools in the toolkit, which are on the application page on the website, the questionnaire and the action plan. So just a little taste. Here's the questionnaire. I would use this if you can. Ask your young tree champions, if you started the recruitment process, to find out what matters most to them. You could even put this out to parents, get the children at home involved in this questionnaire. Finding out what matters most, as Hilary was mentioning, it comes from the core. They want to find their voice. It's something of passion to them, something of meaning to them. So if for example, what matters most to them is their health and their well-being and their family's health and well-being, then that would be the option A on that first question. And then the questions filter. So by question 4, we're bringing trees and children together and thinking around health of trees and health of children, health of the future. So it's a nice way of setting up your theme as another question option on the application form for the theme that you are choosing. It's just a really nice way of getting to the heart of what your project's going to be about. Another useful tool on the website is the action plan. If I had the time, I would set this up with your young tree champions, do a 20-minute, half-an-hour session, whether that's key workers in school or tutor group, or if you decide to subject lead, you want to do it with a particular class, but work this with them so they can put their ideas together. They can be the driving force behind your project. So important that. Really like to see that in the application process, that you've completed an action plan, you've done a questionnaire, the children, young people come up with the activities that they want to run. Speaking up for trees and nature is of course with the Speakers Trust, but if you're unable to be selected for that, we're looking at particularly for selection process, we're looking at those projects that are high impact, but also looking at percentage-free school meals as well. So we're trying to reach the most deprived as possible through this project. But if you aren't selected for that, carry on. There's other webinars that will be running and chance for you to get more tips. And I think you could still do a fantastic project in your school, speaking up for trees and nature. As I mentioned, lots of other support around the program. Club Space, please sign up. It's automated anyway when you're doing your application form. There's going to be lots of content going on there very soon. videos and all sorts of media sort of assets and things that we've got that we'll be putting up to inspire you to develop your project. Roots and Shoots, as I mentioned right at the start, is a monthly catch-up we'll do, very informal, just a chance to sort of make connections with other schools, start to build relationships and share your ideas as you progress your project. Bit of troubleshooting, I'll be there, Dom will be there, and we'll just sort of help you hand hold a bit, but really it's a chance for you to start to build those national connections with all the other schools on the network. We're also running a couple of competitions as well for all schools, even if you haven't registered for a project. One of those competitions is Speaking Up for Trees, very much aligns, of course, with the Speakers Trust work. And the other one is a creative writing one, chapter 1, The Adventures of Oak, which is one of our animated characters as you can see on the screen there. And it's really all to become a Beacon school. Hopefully, you've managed to complete your project, delivered the actions that you've put into your action plan, and at the 18th of June, we're asking you to submit a self-assessment form. It's in the tools section on the application page on the website. It looks very much like an action plan. It just says evidence what you've done. The evidence where you do that is, of course, posting on the club space. And really, Beacons are a showcase. There's intentionally most schools we hope will achieve Beacon status, and that's a national Beacon status. So there's opportunities going beyond this year into next year, supported by Derby University and ourselves, to really showcase through case studies, through the media work that you do, your speeches, all the fantastic work that you've done in your school. We aim to showcase those Beacons at a national level. Yeah, and it all culminates in, of course, the festival, online festival that we're running. We're doing one for Scotland, Northern Ireland, likely to be the 22nd of June. We will confirm that very soon. And a second one for England and Wales on the 14th of July. Chance to award Beacons, all our Beacon schools, showcase the amazing speeches that the children have done, and run some breakout workshops, getting you ready for 2022, another year of scaling the program, so lots to come. Great, thank you. And I'm just going to come out the shared screen, and if you've got any questions at all, now is the time to ask those questions. It says, pop them into the Q&A, please, and we'll, if you want to, there's not many of us, so if you want to, I'm just going to sort of ask you to unmute. You can just ask the question as you go along, rather than putting it in the Q&A. That's absolutely fine.
Hi, it's David.
I don't.
Thanks very much. That's been really useful. I work with special needs children, 11 to 16. One of my children spoke and pulled the cracker joke out of her cracker on Christmas Day. She's a year 8, and for the first time ever, read it out to her family. That was a massive step for her. So it's whether you could tailor something a bit sort of lower down ability, just because obviously some of our kids, just to actually even speak is an amazing thing, and we quite often have them typing words into their iPads and getting the iPads to speak for them. So it is about confidence, and it's about ability, but it's about bringing it to within a level they can cope with and not get scared of as well, if that makes sense.
Hilary?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Richard said I've got quite a lot of experience, but it's down to being able to work with all groups. So if there are any particular needs, I'm thinking of an example of a selective mute who hadn't spoken at school for 6 months. And the workshop, we pared down to a very short, we thought it was going to be 2 hours, was going to be too much. But actually in that workshop, he was able to speak because we found a topic that was passion based. I know that sounds quite simple, but it could be it's the trigger. There's a trigger that happens. I can only explain that it happens when you're in, you're with young people, but everything we have is adaptable and has been adapted. We've got programs for all different sorts of groups, and I've been privileged enough to work with them. So yes, I would say absolutely. And we can shorten the time of the workshop. We also work with the teachers beforehand to get the information that we need. That happens in all our workshops, but particularly if there are particular students who've got the ability, but it's never been shown before in the classroom. And I would say that a lot of the young people I've worked with who have often been dismissed, and I don't necessarily mean by teachers, I mean by the system, have some of the most creative ways of speaking. And so it's been through rap or different, ways of using the spoken word, but keeping very simple, not building a big 2 and 3 minute speech, but keeping it very simple, or doing it as a shared experience as well with peers.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Claire James has mentioned on the chat, we started doing our questionnaires today. It was really interesting to see what the kids think and feel. Oh, that's good to hear, actually. Yeah, we've had quite a few emails coming in from teachers who have delivered their questionnaires, and it's sparked a debate straight away. So, yeah, Claire, would you like to elaborate a little bit more on that? Ask you to unmute. Yeah.
Hi, it was really good to talk to Year 2 kids today.
Yeah.
Even in a small group, because obviously we've got COVID restrictions at the moment, but it was really interesting to see what their thoughts were. And certainly well-being was a definite hot topic out of all of them. Mm-hmm. When I said, what do trees mean to you? They make me happy. And I thought, what can you say to that? I think that's our project is well underway now of what we want to do and achieve.
That's really good to hear, actually. And how many children did you do the questionnaire with?
Today it was with 10. It'll be with another 10 tomorrow, because obviously we've got to stay within bubbles at the moment.
Yeah.
So hopefully next week I can leave with another teacher to go through, because we're not allowed to constantly move to different year groups. So once we get over half term as well, then I'll be able to access another year group. So I've got to leave the break in between travelling from class to class. But it's been really interesting to start with a young year group, to be honest. They were really, really enthusiastic. And we had a look at the Treezilla app. So they absolutely love that today. So we've got nearly 5 acres of land. So they're going out to actually count our trees. I may be sometime.
Yeah. Really like the health and well-being. They're so important to children right now. We can see the applications coming in. A lot are health and well-being related, which is good. And I can see the connection activities being really strong for schools like yours, and they're so young as well, Year 2. That's fantastic to hear. So please, I'm really looking forward to your application. So that'll be great to see. And yeah, if you, that's all the Q&A questions we've got at the moment. So if you do think of anything else that you want to ask us, then please just email us at schools@treecouncil.org.uk, and we'll endeavour to get back to you as soon as we can. Or you can just email me directly, richard.pollard, and I will try and answer your questions. And we're ahead of schedule, so we can finish now. And if you want to hang on and just ask a question, you want everyone to be involved in the discussion, then please do, and we can answer that question in a minute. Otherwise, yes, please enjoy your evening. Which is the one's just popped in. So what's going to happen at the festival? Yeah, good question. Yeah. So the festival is, as I say, England on the 14th of July, and we're looking at Scotland on the 22nd of June. Really great opportunity. It's going to all be online. It's going to be about 2 hours in total, but it's really a great chance for we're looking for a keynote session at the start, a chance to sort of really bring together all the fantastic positive activities and achievements of the children across the UK. We'll do some breakout sessions, and towards the end we're going to do the awards for Beacon schools. So we're looking at all the schools that have gone through the project application process to complete that self-assessment, get it in, because a Beacon status is a real way of leveling to develop your program going forward. You'll receive a certificate, of course, but additional support next year. And really the shape of that will come out of these roots and shoots sessions as well. As I mentioned, we're doing it all together, working this together, and there's particular workshops that teachers need more of, like assessing the impact and the progression that the children are having on the ground. Then we'll develop that and build that into the workshops for the festival as well. And there is also potentially an ambassador workshop that we're going to run. I'd love to have Josh there. That would be awesome if he's able to turn up for something like that. But we're looking to recruit some young ambassadors to help the festival. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Sarah. Certainly coming more now. So, Sarah, can teaching assistants being the main trainer for the speaking workshops, or does it have to be a class teacher? Hilary, would you like to answer that one?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just going to just jump
Alana,
in.
yeah.
Hilary was like, I don't know. Any teacher can be the main trainer. So really, I think the big message is that we're flexible to work with the needs of the schools. We know it's such a tricky time in education at the minute. So we will work with each school that we're working with to find the best way to deliver for them with the right teachers, online or live, age groups and abilities, all welcome. So yeah, any teacher is welcome.
Great. I hope that answered your question, Sarah.
Yeah, that's fine. It was, you know, I'm a one-to-one teaching assistant and I work part-time, so I maybe have a bit more time than some of the teachers, and very passionate about trees. So they suggested me, and I was very happy to do that. So obviously I'll be working with the teachers. I had a meeting today with one of the teachers and the head teacher, and they're all very enthusiastic to go forward. So I think we'll be a team effort.
Brilliant. All the better.
So okay, great.
Yeah, and Sarah, have a look. You probably have already, no doubt, but the application guidance is on the website as well. There's a point in there. So how much time do you need to commit to delivering the project in your schools? And we've estimated about 4 to 6 days, but that's without support. So if you are getting some support from other teachers and the schools behind the project, it's not an isolated activity. That's really crucial, especially with embedding the program longer term. And so yeah, I'm hope that is the case. We're trying to be realistic. That takes time to obviously organize the workshops, to organize the planting as well, and so on and so forth. But just make sure that you can, as much as possible, get it up to the senior management for sign off to allocate some PPA time or whatever that might be to enable you to deliver a really good project.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
And right. All right. As I say, Dom and I are going to send out the presentations to all attendees as a PDF. So yeah, please, you should pick that up early next week, and it'll be live on the website if you need to rewind and get back to a point that you might have missed. Good luck from all of us. I think we can't wait to meet you in person, hopefully in the summer at some point, or certainly through the online workshops coming up soon. Have an enjoyable evening, and speak to you soon. Thank you.